Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Let's roll up a Mothership character this week. Nice and simple. My goal for this is to make it be super short, super easy, something that you can give to your players, hey players, to watch so that you know what you're doing when you show up at the table or maybe when you roll your character up beforehand before a game. So I have the Mothership character profile pulled up on here, which is from the Player's Operations Manual, which I need to get. Oop, forgot a thing. All right, we're back. There it is. So for players and wardens alike, if you haven't already, you can head right up here, zap, and check out my video on the player's survival guide and basically everything that you need to know how to play. Once you're done watching this video, don't go anywhere just yet. So this character sheet is really, really simple, and it actually has all of the instructions for how to roll a character on it. Let's jump in and let's start going through it. Okay, to start, we've got our character name right up here, and I'm gonna come up with something simple. Jason Derulo. You know, a totally original name that no one has ever had before. And because it's me, I'm gonna put my name right up here. You will have to excuse my serial killer handwriting for the course of this video. Next up, we move on to rolling our stats. Oh, I forgot another thing. Gotta get my Mothership dice. I got these cute little suckers that are pretty simple in the big ol' Mothership core set, which I actually did an unboxing of. Zap. So many related videos. I've done so much Mothership content. There's just so much for you to watch. So to start, we're gonna roll 2d10 and add 25 for each stat. So start with strength, roll 2d10, I got 11, and 11 plus 25 is 36. All right, we're gonna repeat that process. So that leaves me with 35 for speed, 36 again for intellect, and finally for combat, ooh. Oh no, 31. That is less than ideal, but that's Mothership for you. Then we move on to rolling our saves. Stats are your proactive ability, saves are your reactive ability, and sanity comes first. It's 2d10 plus 10, so that's pretty good. That's a 10 and a 3, leaving me with a 23 sanity. Fear is up next. Ooh, 21 fear. I'm doing great. And for body, 22. At least I'm consistent. Usually it doesn't go that well, though actually it's fairly average on the rolls if we're being honest. Then we zip down here and we choose one of our 4 classes. There are 4 core classes in Mothership. There's the Marine, who is you're kind of telling your warden that you want to do a lot of shooting and fighting. You have the Android. Androids are inherently inhuman, and so it's fun to play with space robot kind of vibes. That could be very alien space robot kind of vibes, or that could be chappy space robot kind of vibes. Then you have the scientist, who gets to be an expert at one thing and who's going to be kind of an investigator. And then lastly, you have the teamster, the workaday, the regular dude, the union member. And the teamster is good at surviving. So for the purpose of this video, I think I'm going to go with teamster. Boom. Now, Teamster, for each class that you pick, you get a couple of things, but you start with bonuses to stats and saves and wounds. We'll get there in a moment. To start with, the Teamster gives me +5 to all my stats and +10 to all my saves. Just across the board, I get better. So let me apply those. After adjusting my stats and saves, I head down here and I roll 1d10 plus 10 for my health. Out of the pot, doesn't count. Oh, all right, 10. Oh, let's go. All right. So my current health becomes 20. My maximum is 20 as well. And everyone starts with 2 wounds, though the Android and the Marine get an extra wound. They're a little bit tougher. Then we move over to stress. Current and minimum both begin at 2 across all classes. Then we take note of our class's trauma response. Basically, this is something that messes us up or our friends up when we panic, or in the case of the Teamster, it actually lets me take advantage on a panic check, which means that I would roll the d20 panic dice twice, and I would take the lower result. All right, so I'm gonna mark that here. After taking note of my class's trauma response, I move up to the right side of the sheet, and I note class skills and take some bonus skills. So again, I'm gonna mark Teamster. Teamster gets industrial equipment and 0G. So let's go down in here and find those two. These are both trained skills, which is the basic kind of skills. So here is 0G, and industrial equipment is right up here. Then in addition to that, I get an extra trained skill and an expert skill, which is the next level of skills. Now this is important. I can only take expert skills that I have a trained skill prerequisite in. So for example, I cannot take explosives right now as my expert skill unless I take jury rigging as well. I think Jason Derulo... I can't believe I'm still using. I stuck to that. We went for it. I think Jason Derulo is a little scrappy, right? No, he's not scrappy. He's an artist. So we're gonna choose art for his singing career. Maybe Jason Derulo is not his real name. Maybe that's an assumed moniker, a callback to old Earth. And then for my expert skill, now I have a couple options. From 0G, I could go to piloting. From art, I could go to mysticism. And from industrial equipment, I could go to mechanical repair. You know what? I'm gonna let the dice decide. Let's roll a D100 by 33s. All right, that is the third possible result, which means that he is a mystic. That's spooky Jason Derulo. So that means that I have all of my skills and all my skills done. Then I travel all the way down around here and I roll for equipment. I first am gonna roll a loadout, then a trinket, and then a patch. I love that it has the page reference numbers on the character sheets that I know where to look in the player's survival guide. All right, so let's check this out. Let's go to page 7 for the loadout to start. All right, so I'm a Teamster. I'm gonna roll on the Teamster loadout. It's a single D10. And it has netted me 5, gets me heavy duty work clothes, explosives and a detonator, and cigarettes. Now, it depends on what kind of circumstance that you're doing this in, but now that I know that I have explosives, do I want to go back and make jury rigging and explosive skills? Your warden might not allow this, and you might think that that's a little bit unfair. This is done in a specific order, and it's very old school Renaissance to kind of stick you with things that you're not proficient in. I don't like that as much, so I'm actually going to go back here and I am going to mark jury rigging and explosives because I, as a warden, want my players to have the most fun, so I'm wardening myself right now. I want to be proficient in the tools that I have. Let's go ahead and write those down. All right, so he's probably a smoker, or maybe they're just for trade. So that is loadout done. Next, let's go do trinket. Now, trinket and patch are kind of interesting. These are the only tools in the core game of Mothership that help us build out the vibe of our character. And I think they do a pretty good job. So they're both D100 tables, and let's roll them together. So for trinkets, I get 83. That's gonna get me stress ball, which reads 0 stress in 0G. Love it. So that gives me the sense that this person is a little high strung because no one who is chill has ever owned a stress ball. All right, next up, the patches, which goes somewhere on my heavy duty work attire, right? Another 83. Did I just roll that? The dice are really spooky today, y'all. All right, so 83 on the patches would be, just a patch that says Nomad, all caps? Vibes. And then for the final step here, I'm gonna roll my remaining credits, which is 2d10 times 10. So that's 6 times 10, meaning that I have 60. It also should be noted that once you get to know the game a little bit better, instead of going for a predefined loadout, you can go and increase your starting credits and buy stuff with that. In that case, you would get 2d10 times 100 credits, and you'd purchase stuff from the equipment list after that. I like the loadouts though, the randomness is kind of fun, but there's a degree of customization that you can latch on to here that I do really appreciate. Finally, there's a couple other elements on this character sheet that I want to address. The first one is up here, and it is the high score. Now, high score is not mentioned in any of my other videos just yet. It's not technically a rule, it's more of like a fun little feature. Every time that your character survives a session, session, you add 1 to your high score. Fun little detail. Then also we have skill training down here. You can train more skills, you can level your character up, and it has a in progress, as in like what skill are you currently training, and then time remaining, which is very often very long. These things can take long periods of time. And then we have conditions down here. These could be anything from bleeding to broken leg to heart owned by the black god of Sinush. It is Mothership, it's wild, it's wacky. These give you disadvantage on narratively appropriate stat and saves, and who knows what else your warden will come up with. All right, that's it. You've rolled up a character. That is all that you need to start playing, other than either taking a peek at the back of the player's survival guide, or, you know, heading over and watching my how to play Mothership video, which would be a cool thing for you to do. If you watched this far, thank you so much. Please consider liking, consider subscribing, and if you want other people like you to see this video, please consider commenting your favorite space emoji or something I got wrong or that you liked about the video. It helps more people just like you see this video. Thanks for hanging out. If you want more of me, subscribe or head over to patreon.com/milesawaygames and consider following me there. I put out videos about every Monday, but until then, stay miles away from boredom, and I'll see you next time.